Singapore Airlines came under fire for its poor handling of a technical issue on a flight in early September. Due to a fault with the aircraft, passengers were locked in an A380 cabin for nearly 8 hours. Certainly not the most fun for anyone. Let's look at what happened for today's video. The flight in question was SQ-833, a daily scheduled flight that brings passengers from Shanghai Pudong International Airport to Singapore's Changi International Airport using an Airbus A380. With a planned departure time of 16:50, the flight is usually expected to arrive in Singapore at around 22:20. On September 6th, an 11-year-old Super Jumbo registered 9 Victor Sierra Kilo Tango was operating the flight, and everything seemed routine for passengers when the pushback occurred on time. The aircraft taxied to the runway, but due to an unspecified technical fault, the takeoff run was aborted and the aircraft returned to the gate. According to the passengers, the captain had announced that the maintenance crew would have to board the aircraft to diagnose the issue. Passengers were asked to wait for about half an hour. No one seemed to mind this minor issue at first, but then 30 minutes turned into an hour, and then 2. The technical issue could not be resolved quickly, and waiting continued. Passengers were served meals and refreshments, and ground staff boarded the aircraft to assist passengers. Passengers noted that the engine was turned off at least twice throughout the ordeal, turning the Airbus A380 into a sauna with so many people on board and no air conditioning. Children were crying and others felt faint, with some even requiring oxygen masks. Passengers could be seen trying to fan themselves with either the aircraft safety card or whatever paper they had. After nearly 8 hours, the passengers were still stuck on board the Super Jumbo, and the technical issue was still not resolved. By this time, everyone had already been on board for 8 hours. Some additional people had been boarded, but no one was allowed to disembark. Given how long it had already been, and with no proper timeline on when the technical issue would be fixed, Singapore Airlines eventually cancelled the flight. Passengers were allowed to disembark a little after midnight. Hotel accommodation and replacement flights were arranged for passengers. At the airport, there were hundreds standing in queues at check-in counters waiting for direction. Indeed, very few ground staff were around to handle this mass of people, further aggravating the situation. Some passengers shared that it was after 3 a.m. on September 7th that they finally arrived at the hotel that Singapore Airlines had booked for them. A spokesperson for the airline stated, "The aircraft returned to the bay and engineers were brought on site to rectify the issue. To facilitate a quicker departure, passengers were asked to stay on board in the event the engineers could resolve the technical issues. We recognize that the customers could have been allowed to leave the aircraft earlier." What do you think of this wild situation? Let us know in the comments below. In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.